remove the filling plug. Oops. And the kids are fighting. And I'm under the Jeep. Perfect. Hello and welcome. This episode is all about love. Kinda is. It's all about preparation for a reliable ride. When you get yourself a new vehicle, in this case, an old Jeep, you never know what the previous owners has been done to it. When was the oil changed the last time and stuff like that. So for me, I want a really reliable ride because this is gonna be an adventure rig and I'm gonna be on long trips and far from home. So I want to trust everything on it. So in this episode, we're gonna change a lot of the service parts. So here's the list of things we're gonna replace in this episode. We're gonna change the air filter, oil filter. We're gonna put in some new engine oil. We're gonna put in some new automatic trans oil. We're gonna change the distributor cap, the rotor, the igniter, the ignition cables, the spark plugs, the transfer case oil, the differential oils, change the brakes in rotors, calipers and pads, and we're gonna change the fuel filter. And this is all for the inline 6, the 4 liters with the AV4 Transmatic. I bought all the parts from the company Autodoc because I live here in Sweden, and in Europe this is it's a big store with lots of parts, and it's really good prices. But be careful and read through the instructions or the details carefully, because I received some parts that did not fit my vehicle, such as the head gaskets and the rear gas springs for the hatch. So other than that, quick delivery, and you can choose different brands if you want really cheap or better quality. Just pick and collect. So power washed the whole engine bay with a lot of degreaser because it was really messy around the heads, because I think there is a leak, so I will replace the cover, the gasket cover, later on. I'll start with replacing the air filter. I'll snap this one and that one, and I'll remove that one and this one as well, and this tube here, and then you can lift the cover. And inside, down under where the air is coming in the air box, you can see the previous owner has been into probably some serious amount of mud. So I'm going to use a vacuum cleaner to remove all the loose parts here and try to get it a little bit cleaner. A bit cleaner right now, better than nothing. Take the new one like that, nice. Put the cover back on. Drain the oil, engine oil. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the kids are fighting. And I'm under the Jeep. Perfect. And let it drain fully. It might take some time, but while I'm under here, I'm also gonna drain the transmission fluid, because when you never know when it's done before, you know. So gonna drain that one as well when this is, when the engine is fully drained. The engine oil is fully drained, and I cleaned the pan a little bit. It looks good. So now I'm gonna remove the bolt from the automatic trans and drain that one as well, down in this. Yeah. I'm gonna replace the oil filter now. And on the inline 6 engines, the oil filter is down there. So it's quite handy, actually. Good access. We'll see if I have good access with this tool as well. We'll see. It was a bit tricky to have access or room for this one. And I start to damage the old oil filter, and that's no problem, but it's a bit tricky to remove. I think they have used quite big force when they installed that one last time, the previous owner, the famous one. So to have better access, I'm gonna remove the distributor cover and the spark plug hoses and the leads because I'm gonna replace them anyway. So that will give me better access right now. I removed the spark plug wires, and now I'm gonna remove the distributor cap here. I'm also gonna replace the spark plugs, and as you can see, there's some corrosion in there, so I think it's been a while since they've been replaced. Not too shabby. Oh, it's quite shabby. I'm gonna replace this one now, and it's just, yep, there we go. Just slide it out and slide in the new one. There you go. Okay, this oil filter gave me hell, and this one didn't do it. I just destroyed it. The old oil filter with it just crushed it, so it didn't move. So I took this one instead. It's another type of oil filter remover I have, and you see I had to remove the distributor cap to have access, and now I got it to move. Yeah, come on. Yeah, you see, it moves just a little bit. Come on. Oh, it's totally rusted on the back, so I think it was some time ago this one was replaced the last time. Oh, come on. Yeah, there we go. I think I can take it by hand now. Yeah. Make sure that you put some engine oil on the new seal, and also that the old seal is removed from the oil filter edge down there. Put the cap back on. Like so. Yeah, there we go. Like that. A little bit here. Like that. Okay. I'm gonna replace the igniter as well. And this one is located close to the distributor here. Down there. It's with 2 bolts, one there and one there. Remove the bolts, remove the old one. Okay. Okay, so these 2 bolts was a bit tricky to remove because there's nuts on the other side. It will probably be no problem to remove them, but to assemble it again will be a pain in the ass. So I removed the whole bracket itself. I removed one of the bolts down there, and we have the other bolts, you see it down there, with grounding wires going into it. So I removed those 2 bolts, unplug the connector here, and then you can remove it as assembly. That's much easier. Here it is. Much easier to remove this way. So it's replaced. The nuts on the back side, bolts, going back in with the 2 bolts down there. Down there. Now it's fitted again. I'm gonna replace the spark plugs right now, all 6 of them. And I use some compressed air to make sure it's no water or dirt or anything around the spark plugs before I start to remove them. This one. The spark plugs are out, and as you can see, I think they've been in there for a while. And yeah, you can see in this one, it's damaged. See this one? See, almost melted. So I think these are quite old, and the new ones will make a difference. I use the Hella ones, Iridium Pro. Yep. So now it's time for the new cable set, and I'm gonna show you in which order they are fitted. So all the wires are now replaced, and also the spark plugs. So the first cylinder, if that's the first, I mean this is the front of the vehicle, so number 1 goes to, let's see, to this one, that's number 1, and number 2 goes and up there, that's the second one, second cylinder, and third cylinder is there, going there and back again down here, that's the third one, and then the fourth is in here, going up there and down and back, and there's the fourth cylinder, and the fifth is over there, going down. It's a quite short one. Yep, that's the fifth one, and the sixth, close to the firewall, down there somewhere. Bit tricky to have access to, but it's in there. And that wire comes here and there, and boom, down here. So this is number 6. And of course the center one goes there, and down there to the igniter. And when you replace the filter and put the drain plug back, you can fill it up with engine oil again. And I use this oil, fill oil in there, check the level with the dipstick over there. Not that difficult. Okay. And one very common question is what oil you should have in the automatic transmission in these engines. And the automatic transmission AV4 behind the inline 6 should always use Dextron 3 oil, not ATF. Okay, Dextron 3. These transmissions were designed for Dextron 2, and you can also read it on the drain plug. It says Dextron 2 on it. But Dextron 2 is not longer available. It's replaced with Dextron 3. So always use Dextron 3 on the AV4 automatic transmission. And the oil goes in through the dipstick here. Yeah. So you just put like that, and then you fill her up. And I think if you have drained the pan like I have made, it goes in approx 3.8 or 4 liters, I think. But you can Google it. If you remove the pan and change the filter and drain the system totally, I think it goes in like 7 liters. It's quite much. But yep, you can read it through. But remember, Dextron 3, that's what you're gonna need for the automatic transmission in the Cherokees with the AV4 transmission. And since I've bled the brakes a lot, I topped off with the brake fluid in this one, both for the rear and for front. I'm gonna fill her up with some washer fluid in this one, and this is the coolant reservoir. And yeah, and we're gonna see how much power steering fluid we got. Yeah, we could add some, you see. I will add a little bit. It's time to replace the fuel filter, and it's located in the rear left corner of the vehicle. You can see the tire there, so it's inside the frame or the unibody close to the shock mount. So loosen up the two hose clamps and the nut on top. There it is. And then you can remove the fuel filter. Remove the bolt with a 10mm socket and then just fold down the metal piece and remove the fuel filter. When you remove the fuel filter, some fuel will leak out. As you can see, in my case it's on the floor. So be prepared with a bucket or a clutch to collect the gas. And here's the new filter. And you can see the arrows. There's where the direction of the fuel going in and through. So fit it like that. Tighten the clamp bolt, keeping the fuel filter in place, and tighten the hose clamps and you're good to go. And while I'm under here, I'm also gonna inspect and check the fluid level in the transfer case. Now, this is the transfer case on my Jeep. It's a NP 242 case, as you can see here on the tag. Oh yeah, there it is. So the drain plug is there, and this is the filling plug. So if I was to make new oil in it, I was gonna drain it totally, put it back on, and fill here. And when how do you know how much to fill in? Yeah, it's easy. It starts to pour out. You can't get any more in. So the oil level should be around here if it's placed on a level ground. But right now I'm just gonna top it off and make sure I have oil in it, because you know, used car, you don't know if it's totally empty. You'll see it's a little bit wet down here, so it might be empty, you never know. So later on I will install a slip yoke eliminator kit. So I'm just gonna make sure I have oil in it, and when I install this slip yoke eliminator kit, I'm gonna take the whole transfer case down and yeah, empty it from oil and so on. So right now I'm just gonna top it off. Remove the filling plug. Oops. And it's oil in there for sure. Yeah, that's good. I don't need to fill it. So this is a Dana 35 rear axle, and this is the filling plug. And if you want to drain the oil and put new oil in, you remove all the bolts around here. You can save one bolt on top, just unbolt it a little bit, and then you pry out the cover and you drain the oil. And then you remove the last bolt, take the cover off, put new gasket on it, put it back on, and fill oil through here, this plug. In my case, I'm just gonna make sure it's oil in there. So I'm just gonna remove the plug like this, and it's oil. Oh crap. Put the cover back on. Yeah, so I have a big spot here on the floor. I know it's oil in the axle, so I do not need to put any oil in. That's good. And the brakes has already been replaced, so I didn't take any footage of it. But it's quite simple. New rotors and new calipers. And why did I put on new calipers instead of just changing the pads? It's because of this. This is the stock caliper. And this piston is not made of steel. It's not made of metal at all. And this piston, it will start to either change shape in an oval shape or just get bigger. Because this is a very common problem on the XJs and the Dana 30, and it's on the YJs and TJs as well, and maybe also the ZJ, is that the brakes get stuck, and that's not so fun. I've been through it. when I was many hours, many days from home, 10 years ago, with my old YJ. So, and you can buy new pistons in steel and just remove this one and put a new one in. But the price difference wasn't that big, at least here in Sweden. It was almost the same price for new calipers with the steel pistons as only to buy new pistons and put in the old calipers. So for me the choice wasn't that difficult. I will run new calipers with the steel pistons and I will keep these as spares. The brakes in the rear, I haven't done anything to it. I changed the brake lines because they were really rusted out. But other than that, it's stock brake, what I know, the shoes or what to say, inside the drum. It's drum brakes in the rear on these models. So we will see what the inspection says, if it's stopping power enough or not. But to begin with, I just leave it as is, because the rear is no problem with these brakes like it is in the front. That's about the brakes. There it is. The big service is now done, and hopefully I can trust this beast for the longer trips. So you can see it's all been filled up and checked all the fluid levels now. So now I can go back to grinding, welding, and investigating all the wiring problems and why I don't have any lights on this. Okay, until next time, take care and don't forget to subscribe and like. Bye.